Welcome if you're just joining us for today's live. I'm joined today by Stephanie Aitken, who is one of our coaches and trainers for our Speak Up program, and absolutely delighted to have Stephanie here with us today. So I'm just going to keep an eye, keep looking down because I've got my phone next to me. So I'm just going to keep looking down just to see if and when people start joining us. So we'll just wait a few minutes whilst we.
This is quite a multi-pronged feat of technology that we have going on here.
Absolutely, indeed. This is the first time we've actually streamed a Facebook Live via Zoom, so yes. We are praying that it all works. I was actually doing it out last night, Steph, in my dressing gown and hoping that no one was going to, I was press the wrong button and find that I was being live streamed with my pink dressing gown on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the all the behind the scenes glory of it all, That's what it's like in business sometimes.
You never know with things like Facebook. You just think, you could just press the wrong button and you could be actually, live streaming to whoever. I'm just realizing my computer's pinging something.
So, I know that there's a delay on us broadcasting to Facebook, so we'll keep an eye on to see if any comments coming through, but in the meantime.
Absolutely. I think we've got, hi Kat, we've got one person watching at the moment, it's Kat, so hello, and really lovely to see you.
Where are you joining us from, Kat? If you just post in the comments, and be great to know.
So we can check, although it's going to take 20 seconds for this message to get to Kat, so we'll have to just give it a minute or two and hopefully she can post it.
That's fine. We can get started. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So, as I say, thank you very much indeed for joining us today, and thank you to Steph. Steph is an experienced trainer and coach, and I met Steph a little while ago now when we've both been involved with One of Many. Steph is now, she's a qualified coach with One of Many, and also their trainer. They're one of their lead trainers. Is that how to describe you?
One of their newest trainers. Yeah.
Doing a fantastic job. And Steph's background was as a lawyer. She's worked for companies like MTV and Channel 4, and then she switched careers in 2011 and is now, as I said, corporate trainer, works with law firms. She's worked for companies like Network Rail and Barclays, and she also is a women's empowerment coach and works with women to help with supporting them to build their confidence. So she's an ideal person to be working with us on our Speak Up program. And today Steph is going to be sharing with us 3 tips on speaking up with confidence. So assuming the technology all works, please do pop questions in the comments on Facebook, and we will get to them immediately, but we'll get to them at the end. And it'd be great to know from all of you as well when you're joining. What are your biggest fears when it comes to speaking up? I know I was just chatting to Steph actually before this live to say I still feel nervous about. I might look confident, but I still feel nervous inside before doing things like Facebook Lives or presentations. And it's and over the years, I think it's learning how you can find strategies to deal with that and know that it can be learned. And I know you're going to talk about that, Steph, today. So,
and even I was just going to say, even if you're not watching live, you're just watching the recording, still put comments, because Joy and I will jump in and still interact with you. So yeah,
great. And actually, Kat, if you can hear us, it would be great if you could just pop a comment in, just so that I know that we are our messages are getting over. We are being heard. That would be fantastic.
We're not just talking to ourselves.
All right, Steph. So I think we're going to talk for about 15 minutes, no more than that. And we'll also at the end give you a little bit of an overview of the new program that we're running in January, which is very exciting. So I'll tell you a little bit about that at the end. So shall I hand over to you, Steph?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And what I'd like to start by saying for you all is that I've been on my own journey of confidence, and I would say that I probably presented as an inherently confident person. If you'd met me in social situations, you would have labeled me as somebody who was confident. And what's really interesting is in changing careers from being a lawyer for about 10 years into becoming a corporate trainer, where I actually focus specifically on communication skills and interpersonal skills and relationship building skills. So very much this area, and I've been doing this for a number of years now. But at the start, I wasn't a confident speaker at all. In fact, I was very nervous and avoided it. So now I'm at a point where Joy saw just a few weekends ago, I was the MC for the One Woman Conference and was standing up in front of 500 women and absolutely loving it. So
crazy girl.
Yeah. But I still I like what you said, because I still got a little bit nervous, and that's okay, because it's because we care. And we were saying that earlier, talking about even doing this live. Joy asked me, do you feel nervous? And I said, not necessarily for this, but there's a little feeling, because for me, it's important. It's important to deliver value and to really share something that's going to be benefiting all of you watching. So the other thing I want to say is to really redefine what confidence even is, because I think it can sometimes be a bit of a red herring or send us down the wrong path, because we believe that confidence is almost this innate state of being, and that when we see other people, perceive other people who seem to be confident, who we would label as confident, we imagine that they're going about doing what they're doing as an absolute expert and not feeling any fear or self-doubt. And you know what? That simply isn't true. If you just think about your own experience, I'm sure there's been something that you do in your life where people have said, oh, you're really confident at that. And you think, oh, gosh, I don't feel confident. So there is a difference between what we're experiencing internally and what is being perceived. And I think that's really important, because confidence isn't just something that we're born with or not. It's actually a skill. It's a skill that can be developed and should be developed through regular acts of courage. So that really is what it is. And through taking those regular acts of courage, you start to build up your confidence, firstly in yourself, which is the most important thing. And then because you feel more confident, by that I mean you can trust yourself. It's not that you don't feel any fear or doubt. It's that you feel those things and you can still do it. You do it out. Feel the fear and do it anyway. I think there's that expression, isn't there? And so over time you learn to trust yourself enough to be able to do the thing even though you feel fearful. So I just wanted to frame that up, because I think it's really important, because we are talking about speaking up and having confidence, and I think it's helpful to be able to break that down.
I just want to say, actually, I met, as you know, Dame Helena Morrissey yesterday, and who is a superwoman in her own right, with 9 children, and she stands up on stage a lot. She speaks to the media a lot, and I asked her the question. I said, "Do you actually get nervous?" And she, I thought that she'd say, "No, I never get nervous," and she was like, "Yes." And she was speaking on a couple of things this week, and she said, as you said, it's when she's out of her comfort zone. And she says, like I do, I try and push myself out of my comfort zone, because it means you're pushing yourself to that next level. And every time you do that, you get to that little bit more confident. And she was saying she does exactly the same. It's just a different level.
Absolutely. And so for me, I know that for some of you, standing up and speaking in front of a room full of 500 women would be incredibly daunting and maybe even terrifying. And it is. I mean, it's a fairly impressive experience, and I feel comfortable doing that. However, I also have the edge of my comfort zone, and put me up in front of an audience of, say, 5,000 women, then it'll be a different experience. The thing is, I know what to do. I know what to do in those situations, so that even though I'm feeling nervous and fearful, externally, I'm able to present what appears to be a confident version of myself. And that's what the whole Speak Up program is about, right? Taking women on that journey so that they can at least present themselves as confident and come across really well. So this segues beautifully into the tips that we're going to share today. So I've got 3 tips with you for you to really help you to speak up with more confidence. And the first one we've actually alluded to, which is to start small and fail fast. And this is something that I've adapted from the tech industry. So in the technology industry, we have software companies, and they will be developing new software or apps. Now, what they don't do is development to the point that they are totally complete, finished, sealed, no more changes needed, and then put them out for sale to the public. Because along the way, they may not have done the things that the customer wants. So if they were going to invest all of that money and then put it out as an end product and it didn't land, that would be quite painful. So what they do is they release betas. You will sometimes have maybe used a software package that isn't, fully developed, or they issue new reiterations. And that's really important, particularly for you as a speaker, is just to get out there and try to take action. It's more important that you're taking action, having a bit of courage, but doing so, I would say, in an area where the stakes are low. So it's almost like building a muscle. Like if you've never lifted up a weight, then don't go out there and try and lift a 500 kilogram weight or even a 20 kilogram weight. To build up your strength, you need to start with a small weight. And it's the same thing with when you're speaking. So find something that you can do where the stakes are low, where it doesn't matter if you fail, where it doesn't matter really how you come across. So think about just any opportunity, however small it might be, standing up in front of your team for a weekly team update and volunteering to give them an update on some particular area of business. Or you might choose to find other opportunities socially, just to stand up and say a few words to congratulate a friend on their birthday or something like that. Just easy situations where if you don't do the best job in the world, no one's really going to mind, but it allows you to start to push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone. And the first time it may feel scary, but then actually quite quickly you realize, this isn't that hard at all. Do you have a similar experience?
And I started when I had my second child. Actually, I decided I wasn't working full time, and I felt really nervous about speaking in public. And I thought what I could do was, I actually became chair of our school PTFA, our PTA, Parents and Teachers Association, and by doing that, I have to stand up and speak in front of parents. But it's a very easy, having stood up and spoken in front of lots of management consultants in the past, which I found terrifying, actually standing up and speaking in front of parents was actually not very scary at all. They're all really nice. And it just builds up my confidence. So now when I do it, 4 years later, I don't feel nervous at all. So it was that sort of start baby steps to then build up, you can then move on to the next thing. Yeah.
And that's absolutely the journey that I have been on myself. So I'm sharing this from my own personal experience as well. So it's just get out there and do it in some way, shape or form. So start small, fail fast. And the second tip is to reframe fear. So if you're feeling nervous, if you're feeling apprehensive, if you're feeling scared, actually all of that really boils down to being fearful. Now, what some of you may not know is that physiologically, the physiological manifestation and symptoms of fear is actually the same as excitement. So if you think about it, when you get scared, you start to maybe sweat a little bit under the armpits. Hopefully no one will see. Your heart will start racing. You may feel a little bit shaky. Now, when you get excited, maybe you're about to do something that you're really thrilled by, your heart will also start racing. You'll also start to get maybe a little bit sweaty or shaky, because the body's response to those two emotions is very, very similar. Now, the beauty about this is that you can do a little hack on your own body and your brain. So if you're feeling fearful, tell your brain and tell yourself, oh, I'm really excited. Oh, I can't wait to be getting up on stage. I'm going to be really excited when I'm there, and I can't wait to be doing this. And just talk to yourself as though you were really excited and enthusiastic. Now, you may be thinking, really, is this going to work? And I promise you it really does. There's a study that was done by a Harvard professor looking at this. And in her studies, she showed that by simply doing this reframe, it lowered anxiety quite significantly and also improved performance. Now, what you're not going to be able to do with this is remove the experience or the feeling or the symptoms of fear, but it doesn't matter, because what you're doing is you are giving your brain a more empowering meaning for the symptoms. So the brain's like, oh, okay, she's excited, and it will help calm things down. Is that something you've ever tried yourself, Joy? Sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So give it a go. And then the third tip that I want to share with you is about wearing what we like to call your crown of confidence. And talking about the brain, you see, the brain, I kind of refer to the brain like a bit of an unruly puppy, because If you leave the puppy alone, then it will just run around, probably cause havoc, rip things up, and create a total mess. And the brain's a bit like that. It needs some guidance. And a lot of the time what we're doing when we're going into a situation where we feel nervous is we let our brains run amok and start telling ourselves all the things that are going to go wrong, how we're terrified, and all these other things. And so guess what? When we get on stage, we aren't in our best selves, right? We don't actually present the version of ourselves that we really like to. So when you put on your crown of confidence, it's about actually, I would encourage you to identify 3 qualities that you would like to embody, and 3 qualities which you'd like to embody, but also how you would like to be perceived by the audience. And it could be anything that's relevant for you. Perhaps you want to appear as graceful, confident, insightful. Just pick some words that are really at the core of how you want to come across. And then the key thing is, before you go on stage, you'll be reframing your fear and telling yourself how excited you are and how enjoyable the whole experience is going to be. And then just imagine yourself putting on this crown of confidence and repeat back those 3 words to yourself. So what you're doing here is you're actually taking control of your state, and you're priming your brain so that you do have a much better chance of coming across that way. So rather than going into a tailspin in your head about how terrible it's going to be, how hard it's going to be, oh my gosh, am I going to forget everything I have to say, all that stuff, take back control, put on your crown of confidence, remind yourself that you're going to enjoy it, you're excited, and repeat your 3 words to yourself. And that will make a huge difference. So those are my 3 tips for you today to help you speak up with more confidence.
Fantastic. And I think, as I said to you, when over the last 20 years, I've been on my own personal roller coaster of confidence. And I used to always put other people forwards for things. I'd never do it myself. I'd always think, oh, they're better than me. I'll let them do it. And I just thought, it was probably only, a couple of years ago. And I started thinking, I'm going to put myself forward for these things, because actually I can do as good a job as anybody else, or potentially even better.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but you never think that in yourself. And I think a lot of women in particular are very modest about themselves. And we did a survey, last year with 300 women, and 73% of them lacked confidence at least once a month, and 40% said they feared speaking in public. So, you're not alone. So it's obviously, and I think that the good thing is we know it can be taught.
Yes,
and it's not something you're meant to be born with. People just think, as you said at the beginning, people are confident, and they're not just, I'm confident, and I was confident at acting and singing, but I was absolutely so unconfident when it came to business. And I had to stand up and speak, and I was thinking, well, why would anybody want to listen to me? And, this whole imposter syndrome. So, so this, it leads quite nicely into talking a bit about the programme that we've got coming up in January, which I'm very excited about. We have 4 places left on the programme, and Stephanie's going to be taking a lead on that programme. It's 6 sessions over 6 weeks, and we have 90 minutes each week. And we cover a whole host of different things. And the great thing about it, because it's over a 6-week period, it's not like going and doing a 1-day presentation skills course, because you have time to practice, put into play the things you've learned on that course during the week. So you do the call with the 6 women that you're doing it with. You record your presentations, you play them back, you get feedback from your peers, but also from the experts like you, Steph. We have Jane Renton, who is an ex-BBC presenter. She used to present the Money programme, and she does a specific couple of sessions with us on media training, so under the spotlight. So she actually interviews the candidates offline as if you were doing a BBC News interview, which is great. It's not just good for media training, but it's good for just honing your messages and being really clear about what your messages are if you're doing any pitch or presentation. So that's fantastic. And we also have a vocal coach who works with us on how you use your voice, and exercises to get your voice warmed up. Also exercises to relax, to motivate, to energize yourself as well, and things like that. So you get a chance to practice, and it's quite funny actually. We have everybody on a Zoom call, like we're doing at the moment, and you can see everybody, so you feel like you're in a room with people, and people actually, the people who join don't know each other beforehand, but by the end they feel like family. And people have said on previous courses, so we really miss our Monday morning get-togethers, because we also have a WhatsApp group that we use. And people put in there what they, they've maybe got a presentation coming up, and they get help and feedback from others in the group as well as the time goes on. And I remember at the end of the 6 weeks, they were saying, oh, I'm really missing it. And the next Monday when we finished, there were secondary messages saying, I really want to be on our call. So yes, it's great to get feedback from peers and the experts we have. It's a good place to practice in a safe space. So if you can link it to a challenge that you have at work or in your business. So say you have to do it, like for example, I've got a presentation to do next Wednesday evening for about 80 people. So I'm feeling nervous about that. And in a way, I kind of wish I could go on one of the programs to practice. And you can practice in a safe space. You record it on your phone or on your computer. We then play that back in the first session with everybody there, and you can see yourself as well, which is also a really key thing, to watch yourself back, because then you can learn a lot from it. It's horrible to do it, and if you're forced to do it, it's actually really good. So there's
often that's the part that, because I do this very regularly in different formats, and it's the part that people, particularly women, least like, but without question, every time it's one of the things that's the most valuable.
Absolutely. And people don't like doing it, and when they're saying, oh, do I need to, can I use notes? And we're like, no, you can't use notes, you have to do it without. This is the safe space, this is your practice space. And we often we work with people can either sign up to this as an individual, or we can their companies can sponsor them to do the program. And when we go with companies, we can you can do it without involving the company, but we can also involve your line manager if you want to, about specific things that you're working on at work. So there's a good sort of return. They can see what the money's going to and the results at the end of it. So I would love to know if anybody, if you're interested in this, do pop a comment in the box here, and we'd be sure to follow up with you. And there's more information on our website that you can have a look at. I don't know whether any questions.
Well, I was just going to say that obviously, the first tip was starting small and failing fast. This is a brilliant way to start small and fail fast, because you get to do it over the course of the program. You're doing it in a safe environment, and you'll get to repeatedly apply different skills, as well as building a community of women. And that's really, I think, important as we're doing anything like this. It puts us out of our comfort zone. To have a community around us makes a real difference. Yeah.
Definitely.
So I just wanted to say, because I've looked at the comments, Kat can hear us, and she's from Cheshire, so thanks for checking. It was a very strange situation where I can see myself can't see the comments on the computer, but I can see myself with a 15-second delay. It's like,
you can't look at the Facebook bit. It's just
yeah.
Was there anything else, Steph, you wanted to add? Because otherwise I might just link us onto the video, which I've got a couple of minutes show reel, which talks from some of the previous participants about the course, just to give you, from the horse's mouth, as it were. So yes, this program is starting in January. We're going to try and get people signed up this month in November, so we can do your pre-work and introduce everybody to the group as well. So do get in touch and pop a comment on the box here, and we can get back in touch with you. As I say, if you're watching on replay, we'll still be looking at the comments. So do that. I'm going to try now. If technology will let me do this, I'm going to
say hi to Ellie Gooding, who's joined.
Hello, Ellie, and hello, Bree. So yes, I'm going to try now and go to the speaker views. If you lose us for whatever reason, it's been lovely to see you. Thank you for joining. But I'm hoping to just share my screen with you in 1 second. And let's just try this 1 second. Hopefully. Does the thought of standing up and speaking in front of an audience fill you with dread? Do you feel sick at the idea of making a presentation? Do you want to progress up the career ladder, but feel that a lack of confidence is holding you back? Or maybe you manage a team of women that you think need a special boost of confidence to progress them to the next level of their career. You're certainly not alone. According to our research of over 300 businesswomen, 40% of them are nervous about speaking in public. Join 5 other senior businesswomen on our 8-week Speak Up program for a virtual, intensive public speaking program. We'll give you the confidence to make a bigger impact to stand up and speak in public, bringing together experts, including an experienced vocal coach and an ex-BBC presenter. The course gives you the chance to practice, learn new tips and techniques, get feedback and encouragement from a group of like-minded women to make serious transformation in your attitude and ability to speak. Received was kind and fair and useful for my progress. It was a safe, supportive atmosphere in which to practice our presentations. Although I never met the women in my group, we felt like we could become a group of friends through our shared experience and through the really positive environment that my confidence practice created. Absolutely, the number one thing for me was meeting all of you incredible ladies. I think each and every one of us have such a different background. I think that's really contributed to the overall value of the programme for me. So much confidence, I'm going to start my own business. So when I can't eat in a few weeks' time, I'm going to blame all of you. It's a serious commitment. You know, when they sign up, they need to commit to change and they need to be prepared to push out their comfort zone. It's been fabulous. I've loved it. It's been very beneficial for me. Great. Hopefully.
Voila.
And I'm hoping that will... Oh, crikey. Sorry. That's the next YouTube video. Oh, my goodness me. Okay. Oh, right. It was going well until that moment. There we go. So, all done. And thank you so much for watching. And as I say, if you've got any questions, please do pop them in. Or if you've got any questions about, you know, your presentations you've got coming up, please put some questions in there and Steph and I can come back to you on that. Really happy to help and wish you all the best of luck and catch up with you soon. Thank you so much, Steph, for joining us today.
Yeah, you're most welcome. And for those of you who are going to be joining us on the Speak Up program, I look forward to working with you and supporting you in your journey to ever greater levels of confidence when you're speaking. So
thank you so much.
Right. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.